got my life back. I'm not constantly in pain anymore. I'm not constantly worried about, something as simple as bending down to do the dishes anymore. Like I just am now living my life again for the first time in almost 30 years, if I think about it.
That's Scott. He's a graduate of the Strength and Pain Relief Accelerator program. He has an intense 30-year back pain history. He's had 3 surgeries in one setting in hopes of beating his back pain. It helped with his sciatica, but he continued to live with chronic back pain that was robbing him of literally everything that he enjoyed doing. He beat it, and today's interview breaks down what he did, what life was like before, and then after starting what I call the hybrid relief method, and we're here to share with you today. Would love to be able to share the diagnosis that you had. Kind of give us an idea of what you came into the program with. What did doctors tell you? What was your diagnosis? And more specifically, what were the symptoms that you were experiencing on a daily basis?
Yeah, so about 5 years ago, I was diagnosed with an L4-5 herniated disc and had bilateral nerve pain down both legs. When the surgeon went in and did all of the examination before surgery and just started looking at me, realized that the foramen were a little tight, and so it's probably causing some nerve pain. So I had a multi approach procedure: microdiscectomy, laminectomy, foraminotomy. It relieved the nerve pain, but it really didn't improve my back. I mean, I recovered through the surgical process. I was able to move again without any nerve pain, but I never really, my back didn't necessarily feel any better. And what I started to do over the years was guard. I stopped bending forward. I stopped twisting. I tried to get back to playing golf and doing other activities, but my nervous system was just dramatically in fight or flight. And so everything became about guarding. And so I tried everything over the last 5 years: physical therapy, acupuncture, meditation, journaling, you name it. I went down the John Sarno rabbit hole. I mean, everything under the sun. And ultimately, I was still at a place where I was just giving up things year after year, month after month. And then I found you on Instagram and I was like, wait a minute, this dude is talking my language. He's saying things that resonated with me. Yes, I've tried that. It didn't work. Yes, I looked at everything on the internet and tried it all at the same time. And so when we talked in April, the first thing you said is, man, you got to stop doing all of that stuff. You got to break it down and start to desensitize your back before you can build it all back up. So that's what the last 12 weeks has been about. And over that time, I was able to start to move again. I was able to bend forward. At first, I barely got my hands to my knees. Now I'm down to my shins. First time I'd been in years. My hamstrings were actually sore as a result of it. Years. And then I started playing golf again, and it was hitting 10 balls at a time, then 20, and then now I'm playing around a week, and I'm pain free.
That's awesome. That's awesome. When you were trying to figure out just a strategy after your surgery, you said the nerve pain was kind of more under control, but you kind of had another issue that you were kind of trying to face. What would you say was the most frustrating part about trying to get relief from the PT, the chiro? What'd you keep running into from the same situations?
I think there were 2 things. One, I never truly found relief. I mean, I might find relief for a day or a week, but inevitably the smallest little thing would flare up again. I wouldn't really do anything, and it would just, now I'm constantly chasing the symptoms. I own everything Normatec has to sell. I own everything that Hyperice has to sell, right? I was just constantly chasing the symptoms.
Yeah.
I never was getting any meaningful relief. And so there was the aspect of pain and trying to kind of treat that. But then there was just this aspect of fear. I was afraid to do anything because the pain was so severe each time my back would go out, even post-surgery, that I just stopped doing things. It wasn't worth risking going through all that pain again. And so you start living your life in this sheltered form, giving up the things I loved for years. I'm an active athlete, since childhood,
right,
and been reduced to being afraid and chasing, some sort of, relief to my symptoms.
Yeah. Curious, when you were kind of in this process of, gaining more understanding, not with me, but before you found me, you knew that you had created this guarding problem. You were very fearful, which creates symptoms and pain. What were the doctors, PTs, chiros saying to you about this problem? Were they like, oh no, we're going to treat the symptoms. How does this feel? Does this create pain? Or were they addressing the actual fear part?
It depends on the doc. I had some doctors who were like, no, it's this. If we can only do this for the next like 6 weeks, let me manipulate you. Let me, tug and pull on you. I think it's this. I think it's that. So there were some that were trying to chase the root cause, but never really, I don't know, they never really got any meaningful progress against that. There were others that were trying to explore the mind-body connection. I had one doc down in LA. I mean, I flew all over the country, by the way, trying to find people to help me. I talked to this one doc who's like, yep, it's the mind-body connection. You got to start journaling. You got to start doing all that. I just, I never found anybody who brought it all together in the way that you did. Of like, yes, it is the physical pain that needs to manifest and be resolved through activity. There is also the mental aspect that comes into play, and you have to, be attentive to that as well. I just, until working with you, I'd never found anybody that brought it all together. It was kind of one or the other. And truly, it was coming together that allowed me to get to the other side of it.
Yeah, I think that's a huge concept that I'm very much involved in the space of back pain and neuroplastic pain and real mechanical pain. And I talk to people all the time who are like 25, 30-year PTs, like they are full bore, mechanical only, tension your body is from a problem you have and you got to fix it. And there is a lot of great information from the mechanical side of pain, but then there's a big gap between the neuroplastic side of pain, that mind-body stuff, and how to blend it. And I have yet to find a really strong completion of this circle. And I think if you can learn how to do this for yourself, it opens up the door to what you can experience now. So this is huge. I think it's still a work in progress. I think there are chiros and PTs who are kind of coming to terms with like, it's a biopsychosocial model of pain versus a structural damage model of pain. So I think that's really cool. What would you say you felt, or how did you feel coming into this program? Were you kind of like, this is weird, this is like a little YouTube guy who says he can help me? Or were you like, you know what, I'm at the end of my rope, I want to do this? How did you feel coming in? Were you scared, skeptical?
Well, I think because I had tried both sides. I had tried the mechanical, the fixes there, and it found some success, but not meaningful and lasting. And I had tried all of the mental work, the journaling, the meditation, and had found some success, but not lasting there. When I found you on Instagram, I was like, wait a minute, he's talking about both. And you were referencing a lot of core principles I had learned in both spheres. And so I was optimistic that, kind of tying them together in your accelerator program would allow me to maybe get to the other side. At the same time, rock bottom, man. I've been dealing with this for 20 plus years, and I'm willing to try anything. I'm never going to give up, and I just don't want to let go of all of the things I enjoy in life. So I'm like, what's another program to try? If it doesn't work, I'm still in the same place I was. But within a week, I was just, wait a minute, I'm having a different experience this time, and just desensitizing. And I remember saying to my wife, I'm like, wow, today's the first day I haven't thought about my back, and I can't remember how long. Wow. And that was the first break. I'm like, this is different. I'm no longer just obsessing over every little feeling in my back all day long. And now, William, I don't think about my back anymore. I just don't. I'm just going about my life. And there are times where I'm like, oh, yeah, I just got off a plane. It's a little bit tighter, but within 15 minutes, I'm like, oh, I'm just not thinking about it anymore. Get on the golf course, and it take a little more time to warm up. I want to make sure that the muscles are warm, but I'm no longer worried about flashes at the next swing when my back's going to go out. I've been able to kind of turn the corner. It's pretty cool.
That's awesome. And then that kind of segues into the question, really, it's, what are you able to do now? If you were to look back 12 weeks ago, what are you able to do now after going through this program, going through the process, versus what you couldn't do before you even started? What would you say are your biggest, like, man, I'm so excited to be able to get back to this?
Well, for me, golf was always the motivating factor. I wanted to get back to golf. It's a stress reliever. It's enjoyable. All my buddies at the club, that's where my community is. So I always want to get back to that. But what I've said to people who have seen this transformation kind of in person is like,
I want to pause really quick and just highlight something about Scott's story. What you're going to understand is he has been in pain for 30 years, right? He's had multiple surgeries. Some of the surgeries that he had corrected the sciatica issues that he was going through. But despite the surgery, he still had a lot of fear, a lot of pain, tension with pretty much everything that he enjoyed doing in life. And when it comes to healing chronic back pain, pain, there is a very specific step-by-step priority list that you've got to take on if you truly want to heal 30 years of chronic back pain. For some people, surgery changes their life, but obviously for most of the people that I work with, surgery does not change their life. It's a very common thing to be out of surgery, years out of surgery, and still dealing with pain. I want to highlight something really quick about Scott's story. He was in pain for 30 years, right? And he had multiple surgeries. The surgeries that he had actually corrected the sciatica issues that he was having, but he still had the pain in his back. He was still fearful around a lot of movement. He found himself eliminating all the things that he truly enjoyed. Just because he was in pain for so long does not mean it's going to take that long for him to get out. In fact, Scott was a part of the 12-week process that I put people through inside of my hybrid relief method. Now, if you feel like you're very similar to Scott, maybe you've had surgery, maybe you play golf, maybe you have kids, maybe you like to be active, but your back is always holding you back, right? It's keeping you from being able to do the things you want to do. What I do might be able to change your life. And what we can do is just have a simple conversation to see if your situation matches the best person to go into what I call my Strength and Pain Relief Accelerator program. So if you're at a point where you feel stuck and you're ready for one-on-one coaching, go to fitnessforbackpain.com/apply. That'll get you an opportunity to book a call with me to have a live conversation to decide if you and I working together will truly be life transforming. Again, go to fitnessforbackpain.com/apply. Let's jump back into the episode.
I got my life back. More importantly than golf, I got my life back. I'm not constantly in pain anymore. I'm not constantly worried about, something as simple as bending down to do the dishes anymore. Like, I just am now living my life again for the first time in, almost 30 years if I think about it, truly, when it first went out. And so that's been the thing that's allowed me to do what I couldn't do before, is just live life without constantly worrying about my back and babying my back and guarding my back and, washing my car. I washed my car this weekend. It just was a nice day. It was great. I washed my car. I wasn't worried about, oh gosh, like I got to bend a certain way. I just haven't had that freedom. Frankly, it's freedom that I haven't had in a very long time.
Yeah. And that's interesting that you said like your excitement around washing your car, and everyone can have a very similar diagnosis: ruptured disc, herniated disc, bulging disc, degenerative disc, all these things. And you can put them in the same room, but they'll experience pain very differently. And that's kind of where the complexity of pain comes in, that it's hard to understand and hard to even teach around, because how can you make sense of that? If I have a herniated disc, you do, we should have the same pain. But it's not that way, because there's more layers to pain than just mechanical damage. And it's interesting to always hear like the uniqueness of people's progress. Some people are like, I went to buckle up because I was in a hurry, and usually buckling up quick like really sends me into a spasm, but I did it like all day and I didn't have any pain. And it's like those really random, weird things. So it's really cool to hear about. I just wanted to wash my car. And I remember that was a specific thing for me. It was stacking those things. Like, I want to go cut my grass, weed whack, do all the mulching, all the landscaping, and then I want to go wash my car after that. But that would be like out of the question back in the day. So it's cool to kind of see that and that kind of come to fruition for you.
Well, and there was a video you did one time kind of showing the peaks and valleys of kind of, I feel good, so I'm going to do a lot today. And then, oh gosh, now I feel bad. And instead trying to find a consistent line. I was the peak and valley guy before, right? I feel good, so I'd go play golf, or I feel good and I'd wash my car, and then I'd pay for it the next day or two, And instead, now what I'm trying to find is that more consistent line where, if my back does start to get tired while I'm playing golf, then I just stop. And I'm like, okay, great. I got 9 holes in or 7 holes in, whatever it may be. And similar, if it's a little tight the next day, I'm kind of like, okay, well, yeah, I just played golf. That makes sense. I'm still going for a walk, right? I'm like, well, let me see what I can do today to keep active, to keep moving, versus, okay, now I got to stop. I don't want it to go out. I got to lay down, put ice on it, and, do all the things. And so I'm just finding this more consistent rhythm versus the peaks and valleys as well.
Right. And it's especially with where you're at, it's really important to understand as you transition to different phases and you want to play more golf, you want to add in strength training and then play golf on top of strength training. These are all opportunities for your body to build resilience. So just like breaking down muscle tissue in your bicep, you're going to get sore, right? You're going to get achy and stiff after a hard bicep workout or whatever workout you want to do. So it's also this relationship to pain that you've changed. And now that you know you have control, your recovery as well, you can bounce back. But also as you increase your game, increase your workout load, your volume frequency, it's okay to experience a little bit of uptick as long as we're recovering and we're getting back to a safe place. And I think if you can learn that balance, which it sounds like what you're learning right now, is you're going to continue to build the ability to do more without having to be like, oh no, I can't play more than 10 holes. Or, you have the ability to keep growing, keep healing, and keep building that resilience back in your body. It's just respecting the principles. And now you have the principles. Now you know what to do. It's just a matter of rinse and repeating and keeping up with those. So that's really cool. Yep. Last question. If you were to just see, obviously there's people who are coming into this program, wanting to come into this program, fear of just stepping outside of the medical model, not understanding that doctors and PTs and chiros, they're great people. They're not out to hurt you, but there are also alternative ways to approach your pain. What would you say to somebody who is like diehard medical model, like, no, chiro, PT, I got a guy, like he's my guy. What would you say to encourage this person who is skeptical or nervous about joining a program like this that is online, different, outside of the normal situation?
I think two things. One, how's that guy working for you? I had a whole dang team, and I'm still in pain regularly and trying to. How's that working for you? I think would be my first question. And then the second is what do you care about more? Yeah. Do you care about getting to the other side more, or do you care about oh gosh, I don't know, maybe I'm going to take a risk on this new model I've never tried. What's more important to you? For me, it wasn't about, I was willing to try anything if it was going to get me to the other side. And, we could have been having a very different conversation than we are today. It could have failed for me, and I have no loss. I was in the same place, whether it worked or it wasn't. So for me, I wanted to be free again. And it didn't matter what the model was. What I found in your techniques resonated with me from the outset, and I committed to doing the work, which is also important. And let this play out. And I'm living a much more enjoyable and pain-free life now.
That's awesome. Well, man, Scott, you've earned it. You just followed the process. It's not necessarily a formula. It's just principles. And when you apply the principles and you learn how to work them for yourself, it's crazy what the results you get. So I'm just super proud of you, man. You should be proud of yourself. I'm so happy that I was able to just kind of be a part of your story and just get you to a place where you can just enjoy life, because that's what it's about. So
yeah, I appreciate all the help.
Yeah, for sure. I appreciate your time. Anything you need, reach out. Any questions you have, reach out, and hopefully we'll talk soon in the future.
Awesome. Thanks a lot, man.
All right, brother. Take it easy, man. So as difficult and as crazy Scott's story sounds, right? Went from the 30 years of pain to the surgeries to the lifestyle of being active and really having a hard time dialing things back and living a life that he truly felt passionate about. Despite all the difficulties, Scott was able to beat years and years of chronic pain. And it wasn't overtraining his core. It wasn't activating his glutes. Sure, it was an active program. It's an exercise regimen, but there are so many different levels to what Scott went through and the healing process that you need to go through in order to beat years of chronic pain, especially if the medical model has failed you time and time again. I appreciate you watching this episode. If you feel stuck, if you feel like you're at a point where you need one-on-one help and you think maybe this could be it, we can have a simple conversation. The hybrid relief method that I use inside of my strength and pain relief accelerator program is not for everyone, but a simple conversation can definitely tell whether or not what I do can actually change your life, and it starts with that simple conversation. Just go to fitnessforbackpain.com/apply, grab a time for us to chat, and we can have that conversation. Thanks for watching. God bless, and I will see you on the next episode.